Welcome back. This is Geometry Chapter 4 Video 2. We're still looking at the essential question, how can you translate a figure in the coordinate plane? So let's start off with a few definitions. Our first one is rigid motion. A transformation preserves the length and angle measure of the figure that we're moving. This will be also called isometry. We have a couple postulates, or a postulate and a theorem. Our first one is Postulate 4.1, a translation is a rigid motion. So again, anything we do that preserves the length and angle measure pretty much doesn't change the shape, it just moves the way it is. It's called a rigid motion. And so a translation is a rigid motion. And then theorem 4.1 states that a composition of two or more rigid motions is a rigid motion. So composition is when we do multiple translations or multiple transformations, one after another. So performing a composition is doing one transformation after another. And so here's our example. We're starting off, and so we have three figures here. And the way that I can tell which one is our starting point is because the green one has double prime, our red one has one prime, well, there's no prime on the blue one, so that is our starting point. So here's S and R, and it moves to S prime. So that's our first translation, which is also transformation. It slides over. It goes over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down 2. Over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down 2. And then we do a second translation in which we move to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, down 2. To the left, 1, 2, 3, 4, down 2. And so it preserved the shape and angle measure on the first move and the second move. So it is a rigid motion. It didn't change its shape. We'll be doing compositions today, one translation after the other, watching how it preserves the shape and angle measure of the figure. So that's our big idea. So we're going to be practicing. We're going to be needing graph paper. Come see me for graph paper. So for 1 and 2, we're going to graph X, Y, and Z with vertices X at 2, 4, Y at 6, 0, and Z at 7, 2. We're going to do this for two different graphs. And then we're going to graph this image after the composition. And the composition is two transformations, which is translation XY. And once we get this shape, we're going to draw it in, and then from this shape we're going to start again and do this translation. And then for 3 and 4, we start off with our pre-image, and then we do a composition of translations and end up with our image. You need to tell me the directions such that they look like this. So in our first one, we're going to be graphing and moving them, and our first half, and our second half, you're going to be having the graph, and you got to give me the directions. Okay.